So on Chug-a-Lug we have some used tin, a bucket of water, a torch, a few tools. And Chug-a-Lug here is now a unicorn because it has a phone mount. I figured since Chug-a-Lug is usually where I am working, I can have a phone mount on the hood and then it could just take video of whatever I'm doing. So on to the last step of this build. You've made it this far, congratulations. Here we are, and I decided to burn the whole thing down. I'm joking. This is basically charring wood. There is a Japanese word for it, which is where it originated. Um, I will not translate it because I found out after some research that it is not the right name. It's been, at best, let's call it incorrectly translated. So what happens is there is a char that obviously goes onto the wood surface. It pulls the carbon out onto the wood surface and it makes it resistant to things like rot, insects, fire, things like that. Kind of preserves the wood as well. I decided to do this method instead of painting it because I found a carpenter bee already making a nest in one of the rafters there. And I recently made a porch swing holder that I charred, and I have never had an issue. I think maybe the worst I've had is maybe a spider hanging out in the corner of it. But spiders are cool. It's the carpenter bees and termites you gotta worry about because they'll just destroy anything that you put together. So back to the build, I have these old tin sheets that I pulled off of another building, and they're going on the bee thing. And I suppose while we're talking about reusing old materials, I should mention that all the screws I attached the tin with is from the trailer I tore down. I just didn't want a bunch of screws all over the yard, so I just kind of collected them all. And I figured at some point I would be putting tin or metal sheathing onto something, and I was right. So in true form, I did not have enough tin, and I had to go back up to the front and get more. As you see, I'm cutting some there to kind of fill in a little spot of, I guess, what you would call misalignment. And I have my helper back there blowing bubbles, having a good time, living best life. So you see I took my shoes off up there. It's because the ground is a little bit cakey and muddy, and I didn't want to be up there and just trekking mud around, and also it would be slippery, so I just decided to take it off, safety first and everything. So all I'm doing up there is just kind of scooching around and drilling the tin down, and scooching and drilling and scooching and drilling. So while I'm just up there working, I'll take this time to thank all of you who have been watching and following along in this process, liking and commenting and subscribing, anything like that. We are going to start doing videos of our projects as we slowly take steps away from your traditional social media, all your metas and anything like that. It's just kind of doesn't align with how we want to spend our time, and we would prefer to use YouTube because it is such a place of my reference. I learn a lot from YouTube, so I think it's only right to contribute back to the thing that has given me so much ability in my life on this property and in my goals, helping me achieve my goals. So, looks like the final step of this process is just to trim off this overhang that we don't need. I have my lovely assistant helping me so it doesn't fall on me. I take a moment to trim off some rough edges, and then we pack up and we are out. This is done, ladies and gentlemen. We have finished. I give it a couple of little test wiggles at the end because, you know, that's just kind of what you do. Throw in a couple of more screws around the edge to make sure everything's nice and tight. Pick up everything, put it on Chug-a-Lug, and yeah, a couple of little torches here and there just for finality's sake. Yeah, man. Job well done. So this is a bit of a close-up walk around of the whole structure so you can see what I'm talking about with that char. It kind of really brings out the contrast in the wood grain. I like it a lot, as well as it preserves the wood, so it's a win-win for everyone. If given the choice between painting a structure like this or just torching it to get the natural wood grain look out of it, I would always choose this. So that little hole you see there is where a carpenter bee made a nest. What I did was throw some hornet killer up there and then followed that up with silicone to seal up the hole, and I shouldn't have any more problems after that. So, final step is prepping the bee boxes, which is what you see my lovely assistant here doing. She's doing this because apparently the bees are easier able to locate home or their specific hive if they're painted different colors. Otherwise, they get a little territorial and etc. etc.